This is Marketing of Today. I'm Cesar. Let's go! Darwin Roman, how you doing, man?
Doing fantastic, man. Excited to be here.
I see you came in character.
I absolutely came in character.
The Mercenary?
That's right. The
Life insurance.
Insurance Mercenary.
That's his Instagram handle. I want to follow him. Life Insurance Mercenary.
Exactly.
Bro, so explain a little bit about the outfit and the whole YouTube branding around it.
We know, and I'll explain that because that was actually a process. You know what? I'm gonna get a little comfortable here too.
Yeah.
But you see the.
Do you see that? That's why you see that on
this
Instagram.
This is what a mercenary is supposed to look like. I'll take this off because we're definitely.
By the
not
way,
in the
thank you
desert.
so much for your service. You're a veteran, and we appreciate
Let's talk about
service in the military.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Was it military or
Yeah, it was the military, Marine Corps.
Marine? I'm everybody. It was ask again. What branch?
Yep,
That's what I was trying to
that
ask.
was it. So, going through the process of figuring out, and I'm pretty sure you appreciate this as a marketing professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
During COVID, I had to figure out how to reinvent myself, or at least how to be more virtual, right? And branding was a very important thing for me. So then I spoke to somebody, and they said, "Listen, you have to make at least your social media more connected to what it is you do as a profession, or one of your main product is, and also tie in with your identity."
Of course.
So then we came up with the Life Insurance Mercenary. Now, life insurance obviously is it's life insurance. However, the mercenary part was more of the discovery process that I had to go through to figure out how I'm going to make it more personal to me. Well, mercenary, because a mercenary is a professional hired soldier. I'm also prior military, right? I'm a veteran. So we got that established. That's the connection there, the military connection. But then also a mercenary is a professional hired soldier, but you're never going to see a mercenary with an actual flag anywhere on their uniform. They have no flag.
Really?
Because there's no loyalty to any government. See, the mercenary is hired as a hired gun. It's hired by it's a private contractor, hired by a client, right? And their objective is to achieve the mission of their client. That's it.
No one specific, just the client.
Just the client. Whoever hired them, whoever's paying them to get the job done.
Yeah.
So I approach my practice and my business the same exact way. So in my industry...
Oh, I see where you're going with this. So basically, you're not tied down to one specific company. You're basically here to help people get the best coverage they can, or sorry, in this case, life insurance they can. And that's why you put a Life Insurance Mercenary.
Exactly. I approach my business the same way because my priority is to achieve the financial security of my client.
That is awesome, man.
So I have no specific financial or emotional tie to any company, as I just make sure that we can get the job done with the right product. That's it.
Yeah, because your goal at the end of the day is to help people have life insurance security for their family and also for their future, right?
Of course.
Is there a percentage, because you probably know this, a percentage of Americans that are not insured right now?
Sure. We'll make it easy numbers. And this came out recently from LIMRA. It's a Life Insurance Marketing and Research Association. So they're an independent agency, by the way, that's completely unbiased. They just take numbers. They do surveys and they take numbers.
They're mercenaries too.
They're mercenaries too, exactly. And to do more of the easier numbers, about half the country has zero life insurance. Zero.
Wait. 160 million Americans don't have insurance.
We'll call about that. Yeah, 160 million. Let's call it 150. Have no life insurance. Zero. The other half have some kind of coverage.
Some kind.
Some type, right?
Not even the proper one, just some
Well,
type.
that's what I'm getting to, is that out of that half of the population, half of them are actually properly or adequately
75 million.
So just about that, yeah.
Out of 300 million Americans.
Matter of fact, if I can cheat real quick, I'll give you some real
Go
stats.
for it.
Yeah,
No, go for it. No problem. And then meanwhile, guys, I have talked about this a little bit here and there in the podcast, but I'm about to become a father. Actually, I think by the time this one airs, I'm about to be a father in a month.
That's incredible.
So in that process, my mind starts I'm driving more safer now. I don't speed as much. I feel weird when I speed. I also want to have security for my wife. If anything happens to me, because you never know what happens in life. I have, high blood pressure. I was diagnosed young. So you never know how long I have of life, but I want to leave a security for my kid and my wife. And if we have secondary child, I also want to live that. Right. So today we've been talking about that. You have some numbers there?
So, for example, life insurance ownership, and this is from 2020. This is actually called, the articles, COVID-19 drives interest in life insurance.
Yeah, because there was a lot of death.
U.S. life insurance ownership has fallen slightly in 2021. Just 52% of Americans report having life insurance coverage, down from 54% in 2020. Nearly 1/3 of consumers, 31%, say COVID-19 has made it more likely that they will purchase life insurance within the next 12 months. And here's part of coverage sentiment. 59% of uninsured consumers say they need life insurance. That's 73 million Americans. 22% of underinsured consumers believe they need more life insurance coverage, which is 29 million Americans. So in terms of market, there are 102 million Americans that feel they need more life insurance.
See, as a business owner, that makes me think now. There are so much potential in business in that market. So that's the reason why a lot of big names are going into this world right now.
I'd say so. People are paying more attention, and specifically because of the fact that we went through a pandemic and the reality set in of our mortality and our fragility, so to speak, of human beings, that bad things can happen, and financially we have to be prepared for them. And I would say also on a demographic scale, because somebody asked me this the other day, because he was saying about our people, and he's African American. He was like, I don't want. He even said it. I don't want to come off saying the wrong thing here, but my people, we don't do well with these conversations.
Yeah.
And I said, don't apologize, because guess what? I'm a Latino Hispanic. Same thing.
Yeah.
And I said, let me give you another statistic.
My mom has insurance because of her loans.
There you go. I said, let me give you another statistic, which is said. Which I'm proud of this statistic, is that, and I know this because of the realtors that I work with, and they'll agree with me on this number, is that in terms of a minority demographic, Hispanics are leading the way with regards to home ownership in this country and home purchasing.
Right now, yes.
Right?
Yes,
okay.
You're right. Yeah.
But then they're last out of the minority groups that own life insurance.
But doesn't that go hand in hand? Because I
think.
know that you work a lot with realtors and you work
Right.
a lot with loan officers too. When people get their houses, try to get them also on a life insurance to protect that asset. Don't you?
You would think it would be self-evident and clear, as in terms of like a marriage between the two.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're not. But
Really?
that's why I step in, and I constantly spread this gospel, so to speak, to regarding financial security with these loan officers and realtors, to make sure that their clients understand the importance of having it.
That's where we met, by the way, too, in one of those events.
Yes.
Meeting each other.
That's right.
So you basically work with everyone that you can get your hands on, meaning loan, realtors,
Sure.
to get people educated on why to get life insurance, and also get the realtors educated on why suggest
Right.
them with the
Right, because I'd say realtors and lenders are involved in one of the biggest purchases that these folks will ever do in their lives is buying a home.
Yeah.
And that's a very stressful, very involved, very complicated process. And so once you get that, especially now in this market, if you have one home and you got 50 qualified buyers all fighting for the same home, that one buyer that gets it, congratulations. Like you did something great. You had a hell of a team around you of realtors and lenders and title and attorneys to make it happen.
Everybody was ready there for you.
Right?
Yeah.
And whenever I paint this picture to a realtor or lender, I tell them this is why you should be introducing me in your process. Because it said, you go through all this work as a realtor or as a lender to get your client approved or get your client at least to the closing table. And you have to go through all the process of getting the approval and getting the title search done and getting the contract review with the attorney and getting the inspection and getting the final walkthrough. And then both parties agree to the price and they get to the closing table. And then finally, the closing table, we have a bottle of champagne. We have a cake. We're excited because we finally closed. You're taking pictures with the client and said you're handing them the keys. They're in tears. You're in tears because it's over. Thank God, right? And I told them, I said, and it's a great moment. But I want you to fast forward. What if a year goes by, 2 years go by, and I say, and you find out that your client that you sold that house to or got that loan for a year or two ago, one of them passed away unexpectedly.
Which happens sometimes, yeah.
And in a society where we typically have dual income families, if one of them is no longer there, that surviving spouse now has a very tough financial decision to make. Tough.
Which usually ends up selling the house and moving to apartment.
moving somewhere, right? The point is that you're disrupting the family, and you know what? You just basically demolished the dream that you really had, and all that work goes for nothing. It's gone. So why not, before you even get there, make the introduction? And I tell people as well,
bro, for real, because
goosebumps.
Yeah, you're making me think about it. That is so true. Like, that is a moment that could die if, like, blink of an eye. Right. You never know what happens in life, and like, movies say this all the time, and people die unexpectedly. People die for reasons. But imagine if that person had a life insurance which cover 250. Let's not go crazy with $1 million, because a lot of people want to go crazy.
Right.
250, and what was left of that loan was 250. You
house
just
paid off.
House paid off. Your wife only needs to worry about food.
Or husband, by the way.
Yeah.
It can happen both ways, right?
Well, because you said wife. That's why.
That's why, yeah.
Whichever. Either
sure. It can happen anyway.
But like I told you, in my case, I'm going to put my wife on an insurance, and I'm going to pay for it. Because just in case, God forbid, something happened to her or happens to me,
right? They
have a cushion.
Exactly.
Which is the most important part.
Exactly.
It's a safety net. And you never know when you need the safety net, bro.
Right. Exactly. It's all about peace of mind. And I tell people also, because there's also, sometimes it's the emotional part of saying, well, I'm sure my spouse will figure it out and get remarried.
Yeah.
The point is that you're putting this document in place, this contract with a carrier.
At a low cost.
Comparatively to the amount at risk, to make sure that your family, and this is regardless of gender,
Dominic
right,
Santiago,
female, that your family can be successful whether you're here or not. Because I tell the realtors, your job is to get them the dream. My job is to protect the dream and keep building the dream going forward. Because we're all in the same agreement that the cornerstone of building wealth in this country is through real estate. But that's just one corner of many others, right? It's called a cornerstone for a reason.
Of course.
So that's where my team step in to be able to continue that wealth building process, and then just not end, by the way, with life insurance. Although I know I'm the life insurance mercenary, but when somebody who has a question about their retirement plan, their 401k, they want to open a 529 plan for their child, things like that come up, my team can still help. Because I have advisors.
You have the knowledge. And
I have
one
of my close colleagues who's a certified financial planner. If there's something that comes up that's maybe a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, I have an expert on my phone immediately available. So, I mean, and I've had as simple cases of working with families where we put a life insurance policy in place, where I've had very advanced cases where we do some significant policies for estate planning purposes, or maybe executive bonus plans, where a company wants to reward their key people and give them a way to incentivize them, but also not breaking rules with regards to the government and ERISA laws and stuff. We can do that.
Okay.
We can do that. We can facilitate that. I can facilitate the people that I have around me.
So basically, we've been talking about this a little bit, but the networking aspect is you're big on, and that's how we met.
Yeah.
We met in a networking event, and you build a team around you of people who recommend you recommend them. So let's say, for example, you have, a couple followers in your page, and somebody's listening to this right now, and they want to ask you questions in regards to, like, for example, right now, what are team building opportunities that they may have? I have a cheat sheet here because sometimes you can't remember everything. What are team building opportunities that you may have? Because, like you said, this is a growing industry. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of people without insurance. Right. In my case, right, I'm around the real estate world.
Sure.
I'm around people who have life insurance because they have so much money in the line that they need to secure their families, right? Because, developers and all these investors, they have a lot of money in the line. So what do you recommend, like, to, anybody who wants to help people and, like, get started in the life insurance world?
Yeah, I'd say, so if somebody wants to actually get in the industry, right? Number one, it's a regulated industry, regulated by the Department of Banking and Insurance. So you will have to go through the licensing process, just like any other person in real estate or mortgages or a title, right? You still have to get a producer's license.
Yeah.
But I will say it's probably one of the easier licenses to manage as compared to the others that are out there. And then from there, you find a company or a group, let's say, for example, an agency that you find that could help you and you learn from. And also it's about the chemistry too.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is my 11th year in this industry. In the past, I've had teams of up to 20 people where I've managed them. Not all of them connected so well with me, and I didn't connect with them so well either. So it happens like that, right? It happens in any organization.
Yeah.
And then now when I look for somebody now going forward, which is where I'm in the position again to start building again and finding people that want to work along with me and be part of a mercenary team, right?
Yes.
They can come on board, but they can also learn about how I've gone about the business my way. And if they decide that they like the approach, that's fine. Some of them say, you know what, Darwin, they may be romance, but you know what? I really want to help people pick stocks in the stock market and put together a mutual fund. You know what? Then I might not be the person. I can help you with that, with somebody that can help you for sure. But I might be the person for you. That's okay.
Because that's not what
that's not what I necessarily focus on.
Yep. Very important fact. He said something really important in those words. He doesn't focus on that. You don't lose focus on what you're doing because you can't do 3, 4, 5, 10 different things.
Exactly. Okay,
so sorry.
No, you're right. And so
I just want to give that little niche because I see a lot of people out there that are doing so much.
Right.
And the reason they ask themselves, why don't I reach success? Such a hard word for me. Why don't I reach success? And it's because you're focused on 20 billion different things. You never give 100% of your time to one.
Right.
And then if you're not giving 100%, maybe that next day that you change your mind to do something else was your home run day.
Right, yeah.
So,
I give the analogy of like, look, for example, Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. All right? Mayweather is the expert in boxing.
Yeah.
McGregor knows about boxing, can box, but he's no Mayweather.
Yeah.
And obviously we saw what happened, right? All right, so obviously the master showed the student, we'll say, right?
Of course.
Now, let's reverse that. If Mayweather decided to get in the octagon with Conor McGregor, some people will have an argument that say Mayweather would be able to hold his own, depending on how he fights. He would use his skill set of boxing. But because McGregor is well-rounded in different disciplines, he's got a maybe more fair shot of winning in the octagon.
Of course.
So some people bring up the whole thing, I've heard this a lot of times, is you don't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Exactly.
But there's nothing wrong with being being literate, at least, in different things so you know.
Having the knowledge.
Having the knowledge is fine. Doesn't mean you be practicing it.
Here we go.
Man, but at least have the knowledge.
Have the knowledge.
Right?
No, yes. For example, when we met, you saw that I had minimal knowledge of what you do, but I had enough for me to understand your language. So we're not saying not to get educated. Don't get us wrong. We're saying when you're doing something, focus on what you're doing to build your brand, your equity on that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you, man. If you've been 11 years doing life insurance, in my mind, you're the go-to guy for life insurance. In my mind, right?
I hope in everybody's mind, yeah.
How am I gonna go to you and be like, "Can you become a realtor?"
Right.
Or tomorrow you call me, "I'm a realtor."
I'll fail,
and I'll be like, "No, because you're a life insurance."
Right, exactly.
So your time is better spent working with other people who are interested in the life insurance world.
Right, exactly.
So, is there a particular reason why you started in the life insurance world in 2010 or 2011?
It was like really 9 going into 10.
Because 2008 was the...
Yeah, no, right. So you think about it, I came into an industry that basically collapsed right, in front of everybody, in front of the entire world. And it was actually because at the time, I was married with somebody, and she got sick. She had breast cancer. She survived.
Oh, wow.
But I went through that process with her. And experiencing that taught me the lessons of what it's like to be prepared. Right? And she, at the time, was really young, in her 40s.
Oh, wow.
So, which can happen. Cancer does not discriminate on your age. I even have a client right now that has an 8-year-old boy, just finished his last treatment for cancer. So, again, cancer has no restrictions and no discrimination on who you are, where you live, how much money you got.
Same as COVID.
Same as COVID, right? So I was like, wow, this was devastating for her. And there was a financial impact for both of us. And so that got me thinking about that. And she was the one who's like, I need to get life insurance or redo mine. And then I said, I always thought about that industry and the financial services. My parents were in the banking world for years in Manhattan. I remember growing up as a kid, going from Jersey catching the train, going to Manhattan to go see my mom or dad at their office. And
Oh,
I remember
wow, cool.
going down there, it always intrigued me going down to the financial district in Manhattan and seeing these men and women all suited up and corporate looking. And I'm like, wow, what do they do? It looks so amazing. And of course you get romanced by it, right?
Yeah.
But I never pursued it until that moment where that happened. I said, maybe this is something I should pursue. And I also knew that I wanted to find a career path that gave me a lot more freedom and a way to be able to build a business, but I didn't need a lot of capital to do so.
Yeah.
And just like in real estate, just like in mortgages, just like in my industry, as long as the capital you need is basically yourself, your attitude, and a license, right? Yeah. And so for under $500, basically you could start a business, right?
Of course,
in this industry. So I said, why not? And I went through some conversations and interviews with the major carriers, MetLife, New York Life, Mass Mutual, Northwestern Mutual. At the beginning, I ended up with Mass Mutual. Okay. So I went through the paces of training with them and figuring out how to properly advise and learning product and things like that. And then eventually I decided to just expand on that and then went independent several years ago, where I represent different carriers, and that's where the Mercenary comes in. Right?
Gotcha. So let me ask you a question. So for all those years, because this is the Marketing of Today podcast, for all those years, how do you market yourself, and how always networking, or do you have different skill sets?
Oh, so the networking was the game changer for me. The networking was a big game changer because everything is driven by relationships. And I would say that there's a quote that's been floating around. I didn't come up with it. I heard it from somebody else, actually, a gentleman that runs a Chamber of Commerce in Jersey, Carlos Medina. I remember him saying it all the time. That's where I got it anyway. But he would always say that relationships are the most valuable currency you have in business.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I remember when I was coming up in the business, an advisor from the office was asking me, what kind of marketing are you doing? And he was going through this list. He's like, well, how about this? He got to chambers of commerce and associations. He goes, you belong to Chamber of Commerce? I was like, I don't even know what that is. So he explained it to me. He goes, go find a local one and go be a member. All right, I did that. I went to some events. I was like, oh, this is cool. It's new people. Bring cards, exchange cards. All right, it's all new to me.
This is 2012, 11?
This is about 10 or 11. Yeah, okay. And then, 11, 12. I'm sorry, 11, 12. Because it took me 2 years to figure that out. And then I was committed, but not half committed. I would go, whatever. And around, and then again, same conversation with the same guy, actually. And he goes, well, are you been serving on any boards? I said, what do you mean? He goes, I was like, besides being a member, what else do you do? I said, well, I didn't know there's more to be a member. He goes, of course there is.
Because if you're a member, you're just sitting in the back. I mean,
you're just showing up. You're showing up to the events. And
he wants. If you're in the talking realm, you get to talk to people about.
So he gave me he gave me this idea, and he gave me this kind of plan. He said, listen, I need you to figure out how you can serve on one of those boards that the chamber does. Like, believe me, they need the help. Yeah. He said, because people typically don't want to volunteer. I'm like, all right, let's do that. So then 2014, I started asking this one particular Chamber of Commerce in Jersey at the time. I said, hey, I want to know how I can help. How can I help grow and serve? And she's like, sure, I could definitely use the help. So
it worked.
So then 2015, I started working with this gentleman and helping and at least promoting the events, things like that. And then fast forward in 2017, that same person decided he wanted to step down. And he wanted to just give other people leadership opportunities. I was one of them. And he said, would you like to be president of this Chamber of Commerce? Happened to be the Union County Latino American Chamber of Commerce at the time. So I said, sure, why not? I had no freaking clue what I was doing. I was like, president of what? I was like, all right, yeah. I was like, sure. But you know what it is, though, Cesar, is that there's moments in your life where you pray for certain doors to open.
And they open when you least
expect it, and when you're not prepared.
Bro, that happened to me 2 weeks ago.
So it happened double for me. Sometimes it's double.
It opened that door and then something else opened?
So then what happens? So fast forward. Okay, fine. I accept. 2018, I become president of that Chamber of Commerce, Union County Latino Chamber of Commerce. My first calendar year, right? 2018. That same year, another organization, great organization, NAREP, the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. I meet leadership from there. They approached me on expanding the presence of NAREP in New Jersey. And so they asked me if I can help them open another chapter in another part of Jersey, South Jersey. So then, right, now getting to the second door opens. At first, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to just help And I'm sure they'll find somebody to run the ball with that. Yeah,
it was you.
It was me. So then I'm like, wait a minute. So now 2019, I roll in 2019. I am now president of the Union County Latino American Chamber of Commerce, and I'm president of the South Jersey NAREP chapter.
Oh, wow.
Same freaking time.
So that wasn't easy managing too.
No.
Especially in two different areas.
Two different areas, two different organizations. They all needed to do events. And I still have to get my clients. I still have to do I still have to do my business, right?
Yes, of course.
So, but when I talk about the prayer of it, is that I would laugh out of just amazement, because I say, wow, I guess I really got what I asked for here, because I was asking for more influence.
And
I was asking for more posture, and I got it.
Especially in that time of the year, like back then, Latinos were just starting to go up. So that's why all these chambers were opening, and those opportunities. So you were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I'd say so.
In 2015, there was it?
2015, I started as a member, and then fast forward 3 years later, I was president.
So 18, you became the president.
2018 was my first year.
Oh wow!
So 2018 was my first year as president of the chamber, and then 2019, I was president of the chamber and the NAREP chapter, South Jersey. And then 2020 happened. 2020 shut it all down.
Yeah, because you couldn't do events. Yeah.
Right. 2021, about halfway through the year, started again.
Okay. By the way, 2018 was when I got here back again from DR. Okay. So this career started in 2018. Yeah. But I'm just throwing fun facts in this.
Sure.
So that means that when everything shut down because of the pandemic, Live Mercenary.
That's when with the birth of the
Live
Mercenary.
Insurance Mercenary. Yep. That's the reason you opened that Instagram. And what were you doing at the time in terms to getting new clients?
Yeah, so up until that point, I was really focused on I call it the hand-to-hand combat, right?
Of course, because you were in the
shaking hands, meeting people, because the more hands you shake, the more money you make.
Of course.
So I'm out there, I'm shaking hands, I'm meeting people, I'm networking. That was my way of meeting new people, and then going from there. Once the pandemic hit, that wasn't an option so much anymore. So now I had to go more virtual and really leverage my social media as much as possible, learn more about it.
Of course.
But I had to have something attractive in the social media space, and that meant to me, right, as a mercenary, but then also had me stand out. Thankfully for me, in a way, and maybe some of my folks in my industry, I don't like using the word competitors. I'll use them as colleagues, right, in the industry, is that, and they'll admit to this, the industry as a whole, in terms of life insurance and the financial services industry, they're not as advanced as, let's say, as realtors when it comes to social media marketing. They're not.
Now the big guns are coming in and showing that, like, how you can leverage social media to assist.
Right. They're very behind in that. If anything, the biggest platform that they're okay with, and I get it because also very compliant driven, is LinkedIn.
Yeah, because it's a work.
But other than
professionals,
right? But other than that, you kind of see them on Facebook and on Instagram, nothing, and TikTok even less.
Yeah, not at all.
But then there's me, and then I did, and I decided to go forward with it, and I think it worked out to my advantage, and leveraging relationships and making sure that I'm always visible and putting out content, and thankfully things like this is content that's going to help to drive that kind of presence, not just offline but online.
So when everything started opening up again, that's when you came back into the event world.
Oh yeah.
Because that's where we met. That's why I'm going there. So like, and then from there, how has the business come back to you? You feel now after post-pandemic versus before the pandemic?
I feel like it turned a very big corner in the positive.
Okay.
Because people say it's an overnight success, right? But then they don't realize it's a 10-year or 15 or 20-year overnight success. It's just all the grind that you put in up until that point.
Again, you said how many years again?
This is now 11.
10 years later is when you're seeing the success?
I'd say so. When I'm seeing where it's the business has now turned in the sense of my level of prospecting, I say it's still there, but my level of conversion is a lot easier. And also, how about this? In the beginning, when you pick up the phone and dial to try to get an appointment with somebody, whether it be warm, hot, lukewarm, or cold, there's always a level of pressure. There's always a level of rejection.
Yeah.
But because of the many years I've been in this industry, because of also, thankfully, how I position myself in the community, those calls are got a lot easier.
Yeah, because you know what to say.
In the sense, but also in the sense of reception. So now, when I call somebody and I ask out just for a meeting, it's not so much me pulling teeth anymore. It's pretty easy for me now.
Yeah.
But 10 years ago, it wasn't easy at all. It was hard.
I got you.
It was hard. So
and do you give that to being more scared of making the calls, or just because right now you have so much leverage everywhere that when you call somebody, they know who you are?
I'd say it's right. The repetition helps to build that alligator skin with regards to making a call.
Yeah,
right?
because it's hard to make
that's one.
Hi, yes.
That's very awkward.
My name is Darwin, and I'm selling life insurance.
Exactly.
It's different.
Like that.
They're like, yo, this is what I do.
That's what I do. But then, so that's one part of it is just the experience, right? You get used to it through experience. But then the second part is, I'd say, heavily based on the networking and the groundwork that I put in with the community and people who know me. And I remember somebody saying to me that, yes, people usually focus on it's who you know.
Yeah.
But it's not just who you know, it's also who knows you. Right? And Exposure. And that's where I felt the difference happened in my life, because I also took the extra step to be on the board, to become president, because that also propelled me.
And you're taking those responsibilities, and it's helping this, but you're also helping the community, because at the end of the day, what you're doing is helping the community.
Yeah.
Regardless if there's a financial benefit to it or not, we have to work. That's how the world is. That's why I say all the time, and I'm sorry that I'm bringing this up, but I don't care who the president is. I don't care who becomes whatever government, who's financial. No, we still got to work. We still got to make money. Yeah. So going back to it, you're helping families secure their life.
Sure.
It's better to have something than nothing.
Right. And I'm providing financial peace of mind. That's really what it is. And like I said, and I also mentioned with certain people, their egos get in the way with regards to this conversation. And they'll say, well, I mean, it's like, I don't want to leave my spouse rich. I'm like, that's BS, whatever. That's freaking stupid what you just said. I said, listen, you're never going to be able to be replaced as a person by life insurance. Okay. So especially I was speaking to a couple, and I say, life insurance is not going to fix a broken heart. That's going to happen. You're going to have to deal with that for sure. But it will heal a worried mind.
Of course.
Because the financial pressure will be off.
Imagine you having to go through those two problems. Problem number one, you just lost someone you loved. And problem number two, that person that you love left you with something that you can't solve.
Exactly.
Which is rough.
Exactly. And I've told some people, I said, listen, you've been putting this off for long enough. And one of the things that I've had said to
29.
people,
I put it off enough.
That's nice. You know what? You're ahead of a lot more people, and I congratulate you on that big time, because not many 29-year-olds think ahead like that. They should. It'd be great if they did. Unfortunately, they wait till 39 or sometimes even 49, which is a shame. And I've told people this
and it's
rebuttal,
more expensive.
And this rebuttal is that whatever reason you have for not taking action in regards to retirement planning or life insurance, especially life insurance, and what I'm about to say, whatever reasons you have for delaying buying life insurance will sound ridiculous to your spouse at your funeral.
Whoa, wait, hold on. You give me a mind twister right there.
So whatever reasons that you had while you were alive to not buy life insurance are going to sound very silly to your spouse at your funeral. So, because I tell them, listen, don't make it my job to explain to your spouse as to why you didn't have life insurance. Make it my job that if something happens to you, I'm the one that's coming with a check and saying, hey, Mrs. or Mr.,
here you go.
Here's your check. I'm sorry for your loss, but here, at least financially, you guys are good.
Boom. I got it now. Right? Yeah.
Because people say, I've had people.
Stupid comment you just made, like, I don't want to leave her rich. You're not living her rich, remember?
Nobody's getting rich.
Nobody's getting rich.
And by the way, I even put it this way. It's like, even if somebody passed away in today's dollars with $1 million tax-free. Let's look at this perspective. A home around this area, what if it's a two-family home? Let's go into
600.
that. Right? That's $600,000. If you have a loan, right? All right, chop it down. Let's call it $500,000. $500,000 loan to get paid off out of $1 million. Not all you have is $500,000 left.
$500,000. Then
$500,000 left.
You got expenses that for the funeral,
whatever,
everything. Another $50,000.
$500,000. If somebody told me that, well, if I got a lump, I know right now. If I ask anybody, if you got a lump sum check of $500,000, do you feel that you'll be rich for life?
No.
That's a lottery number, life changing number. No, it's not. It's a helpful number. If you know how to work it, you could do well with it for sure. Yes. For sure. It can be life-changing in that moment, but it's not life-altering in the sense for the rest of your life.
Nope.
You're not winning the lotto here. $500,000 on top of that, if you have a family.
Yeah.
And okay, in terms of, and people may ask me this, you know what? This is a section I should go into right now, actually. People may say, you know what? How do you figure out even the right amount of life insurance? How is that? Like, what's my process, right? All right. So I look at 3 targets, right? Mercenary, I'm looking at a target. Right? So, all right, 3 targets. Target number 1, asset protection, right?
Of course.
Your house. So now you have a home. You just bought a home and you have a $400,000 mortgage.
Exactly.
Okay. That's target number 1. You want to make sure that target's taken care of in case anybody passes away, it's paid off. Okay. That's target number 1 for sure. Target number 2, income replacement. There's 2 incomes. So let's just say, make it for mathematics sake, $50,000 per person, $100,000 total of income. But we're insuring an individual.
Exactly.
So we're saying, okay, let's just say it's at least 5 to 10 years worth of income you need to replace for your family so they can have at least some time to figure out.
Talking about 500.
So we'll talk, let's just say 5 times 50 is 250,000 just for one person, right? It's 50,000.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So
when you said 10 years.
I know, yeah. So 10 years would be high. But let's just say 5 years.
Okay.
So now we got 400,000. 250. Now we're at 650, right? Then.
Not a big number.
Right. Then you have 2 children. Right now, I say the third target is college protection. Do you want for your children to have the opportunity to go to college and not worrying about money if you're no longer here?
So it's 100 each, right?
Here's what most parents say yes. That depends, right? Because I tell them, well, how do you figure that number out? Here's how we do figure it out. Let's pretend that both of your children, let's say that one of them is 2 and the other one's 6. Okay. But let's pretend if both of your kids had to go to college starting tomorrow, and you wrote a check for 4 years worth of college per kid, how much would that be? Now that could be $100,000, right? But then if we're talking to a parent that said, well, you know, I would rather maybe go to another school, St. John's, which my brother goes to St. John's. Okay, that's almost about a $3,000 semester per year, right? So now we're talking about $200,000 per kid. Let's leave it at $100,000 per kid, right? To be safe. 650 plus 200, that's 850.
There's the 100 right there.
There's 800.
I mean, the mill.
Yeah, so you're only about $150,000 away from $1 million.
And then you're talking about the kids' food, all this stuff.
Right. So, and what we did was with those 3 targets, asset protection, income replacement, and college protection, we covered the bare necessities, the bottom things we have to do for $850,000. So at that point, I tell a person, look, then what's stopping you from just applying for $1 million? Because it's not going to be a big difference.
Yeah.
So just apply for $1 million and see what now it's all based on underwriting.
Right? Of course.
And then go from there. But that's the way I go about it to simplify the process of finding the right amount to get going. Now, it could be more complicated than that.
You're actually talking to me because I'm thinking about buying a house in a year. So any house that you buy right now in the market, it's $400 minimum. Then on top of that, we're talking about my salary is a little higher, so my income for the house has to be higher.
There you go.
And then if I only have 1 kid, I'm only gonna have 1 kid for now. So for now, like if we're talking about tuition, we're talking about 100. So we are talking about
you know, and it's in comparison to what you said, or rather going back to what you said about you being 29 years old and thinking about these things. I think we have a conversation even prior to you knowing that you're about to be a dad.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So here's the interesting part. I actually came across somebody that's I think a year older than you. Same conversation. He is, I guess he's married. He's married. Him and his spouse are planning on buying a home in the next 2 years and eventually planning to have children. And I showed him what the premium would be to get a policy today. And he said, well, what if I wait? So, well, if you wait, it costs more. I said, so you're healthy now. You're young now. There really is nothing stopping you from just getting it now so that you're already taken care of when you're ready to have your house and everything. After a while and following up, he said, you know what? My spouse said to me, my wife said, we're just going to wait until we have the house and the kids, and then we'll get the policy. People are an assumption that somehow you're guaranteed to be here the next year or two. Maybe that's a little too drastic for me to say, but you're also assuming or guaranteeing me that your health will be the same in the next 2 years.
So the policy is going to be the same. Everything's going to be the same.
The point is that it's really hard to predict, A, that you're not going to pass away in the next 2 or 3 years, whenever it is you buy your home. And B, that you're going to be as healthy as you are today in the next 2 or 3 years.
Question real quick. Is it easier to add more coverage to the policy?
It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier than to start from...
It's better to get it now, cheaper, lower amount.
Lock it in now.
And then put more amount, and then easier to
lock it in now.
Continue adding to it.
Sure.
Okay.
That's the way it is, because it's life insurance, and also another quote that I've used a lot, at least recently, because I've had some cases been declined.
Okay.
Life insurance is not a right, it's a privilege. Just like getting a loan for a mortgage is not a right, it's a privilege. So let's talk about mortgages, right? Mm-hmm. Just because you have residency here and a social security number and a job doesn't mean that you automatically get or qualify for a loan.
Yeah.
Right? You have to earn the right to have a loan. How do you earn it? By having good credit, by having solid employment history, right? Funds, right? All that stuff. You earn that right to be able to apply for a mortgage, and then the lender sees you as a good enough risk to lend you the money. They don't have to, right? Nobody has to lend you money. It's a privilege. Driving in this country is a privilege. If you look at
the license,
license to drive, but it's a privilege to drive.
Yeah, because they can definitely take it away from you.
Your privilege, right?
And then you have to wait 6 months and start again. That's so true.
Life insurance carriers, and then some people have confused it. Well, isn't it that they have to allow you to get health insurance? That's health insurance, and even health insurance carriers can decline things. But I said, because they were thinking about the previous administration with Obamacare, and like, oh, it's our right to have health insurance. Well, maybe back then, yes, but it's not your right to have life insurance. Yeah. Life insurance company has to look at you and see if you're a valid risk for them to cover. That's it. And if you're not a valid risk, they will decline you. They'll say no.
So it's easier. What you're trying to get at, because I see where you're going with this, is get insurance when you're healthy. So when you're not healthy, you can stay covered.
Exactly.
Get life insurance when you're healthy. So when you're not healthy, you can still have life insurance.
Still have it covered. You can't be. It doesn't take away from you at that point.
Because you already approved.
You already got it. You got it. You got it. It's yours. It's in place. It doesn't matter after what happens after that. So dollars doesn't buy life insurance. Health does.
Wow, I didn't think of that.
Dollars don't buy it.
It doesn't matter. I can tell you I'll pay whatever premium I have to pay.
Right, exactly.
And you will say if you could decline.
You literally.
I have prop money here. So all this won't buy you life insurance.
No. Because if you show me that stack and I say, great, but you have to understand that you just had a heart attack 3 months ago. You can give me all this you want.
Because you're prompt. You're a higher risk for me to insure you. So I'll take in your money, but it's not enough amount of money for what I have to pay.
The carrier still wouldn't give it to you. They wouldn't give it to you.
So better save up.
You can't buy your way in. It's not the way it works. So
interesting.
It's not a right, it's a privilege. And the privilege that you have is your health. Your health gets you in the door. That's what happens.
This is an amazing podcast, man.
So thanks.
Teaching people here.
Yeah, no. So that's what it is. So I think I say that because to lower the ego of the whole conversation and topic about it. Because people, we have sometimes, especially as we're younger, we have the sense of invincibility. And so it seems so far-fetched for that to happen. So we feel like we have time. But I would say the past 2 years, actually it showed in that statistic that younger folks are more interested now because we all on a global scale have seen what
could happen
to a person, and by just the law of degrees of separation, second, third, fourth, or eighth degree of separation, you may know somebody that did pass away that maybe under different circumstances may have not, and I get it, by the way, and I also don't want to make it seem like it was an automatic. Yes, some people out there had comorbidities that added to the risk, right?
Of course,
so they got COVID, so yes, they were already unhealthy, and this just push them over the cliff.
Exactly.
But still younger people, sometimes in their 40s.
Yeah.
It's still 50, still young. So the point is that you don't wait for the fire to then get the extinguisher. It's not how it works.
You gotta
right?
get the extinguisher.
You have the extinguisher first somewhere.
Yeah,
so
ready
when the
to
fire
go.
goes up, boom, you're ready. Right?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
that's what it's for. It's preparation. It's preparation. You're never going to look back and regret that you prepared, and also for retirement as well. Putting money away and saving money away into an IRA or 401k. It's very rare that you're going to find somebody in their 70s that goes, oh my God, I saved way too much money. This is terrible. I can't.
This is a bad idea.
I wish I would have started later. This is bad. Nobody says that.
Nobody says that.
Right?
And this is something really, actually, what you're saying, one part that you told me was this could be in my savings account too for a lot of people.
Sure. So there's different types.
Yeah.
And I'll just keep that simple because,
Yeah, because
that could be a whole podcast on its own. But and people typically ask, what is it? All right. And I'll put this analogy. Term and permanent insurance, right? So there's term insurance. Term is for a certain term of time, 10, 15, 20, 30-year term. What that means is that when you apply for the policy and you get approved for that policy, let's just say it's $1 million. It's a 20-year term, and because of your age, is going to cost you $50 a month, right? Let's just say that. So that means that for the next 20 years, that $50 premium payment will stay locked and fixed. Doesn't go up a penny, regardless of your change in health, regardless of whatever happens, regardless of the stock market, doesn't matter. That stays locked in contractual obligation for the next 20 years. After the 20 years is up. And I always love using the real estate analogy. Very similar to real estate in this sense. Term is like renting an apartment. You have an apartment, you sign a lease. The idea, hopefully, with the lease is that you have an agreement that your rent will stay a certain number, right? Same thing here. When the lease is up, you got to renew the lease.
Of course.
Or you move. And then what? You buy a house.
Yeah.
Because a home is permanent. Then life insurance now also can become permanent insurance, right? Similar analogy. So term is like renting an apartment. Because nothing wrong, by the way, renting an apartment, because anything outside of that, you're homeless. So you don't want to be homeless. So an apartment is great. Shelter, food, a place to eat, sleep, drink. It's great. Term insurance provides protection, peace of mind. Nothing wrong with that for very few dollars a month. It's fantastic. It does its job. Then some people decide they want to go to permanent insurance. But why would I want to do that? Well, the difference again is that permanent insurance is like buying a home, right? And I would say that some of the objections sometimes from a person who hasn't bought a home and is going from renting to owning in real estate, they say, well, yeah, I would love to buy, but man, now I got to come up with a very big down payment. I got to save up a lot of money. I got to fix my credit. Like they see a lot of dollars. They see a lot of this coming up. Oh, man, I got to come up with a lot of this. All right. And it's true. It's not a lie. And then also they say, well, but then if I do have a house, then the roof leaks or the basement floods, I got to take care of that. Usually my landlord does that. And that's more money out of my pocket, right? You're right. However, so you're right. It's an investment. You're going to have to put more dollars into your house than you would your apartment, right?
But it's yours.
But what's the right? Exactly. But what's the benefit of it? Well, over the next 20 or 30 years, once you finish paying off your mortgage, the house belongs to you. And you get to live in it forever, right? Until you pass away.
Do whatever you want with it.
Permanent insurance policy, similar deal. You're going to put more dollars, way more than the $50 example I just gave you. Maybe 3 times more, 4 times more. Who knows, right? Could be like 4 times more, maybe 5 times more. We'll leave it at that. But over time, 20 or 30 years, you own the contract. The contract's yours. So the death benefit stays there forever. Like when you pay off your mortgage, your house stays forever. Your death benefit stays forever. The other part of it is that your home, the benefit of owning the home is an asset class because over time, it builds equity, right?
Of course.
That's the other part. You're building equity.
Same here.
Well, life insurance contracts build something similar to equity, but it's actually called cash value, right?
Wow.
So, and people tend to, and I'm not looking to defend it right now. I just want to explain it because defending it is a whole nother podcast as well. Because there's people out there that try to say that it's not real. It is real. It's a matter of how you leverage it. But the point is that there's cash value that builds in the contract that also could be a benefit for a family as well. Because as a homeowner, you want to tap into your equity, you could tap into your equity to supplement your retirement income as a reverse mortgage, right?
Yes.
Well, what if you could have a similar function of a reverse mortgage and your life insurance contract? Could be there too as well.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's you're leveraging the values and using it as a way to possibly provide a supplemental form of tax-free income. So that's the benefit of having it. But either or is a good policy. It's just a matter of what makes sense for you at that moment.
And that's why every single one is different.
Sure.
And that you're keeping everything on air right now, just explaining lightly.
Yeah. It's all about advising the client on what it is they need, but based on their situation.
Exactly.
Sometimes permanent insurance is a terrible idea. Just stick with the term. Sometimes a permanent insurance could be very valuable depending on what's going on in their lives. Maybe their business or whatever. So that's where the advisory part comes in.
I got you.
So
100%.
People ask me which one do you offer most? I go, it's was based on the client. I've talked people out of buying permanent life insurance because I said you're not ready. You're not ready yet. I was a younger person wanted to save for a down payment for a house, but I said, but I want to do the permanent insurance. And I said, yeah. I was like, but what's your goal? Here's the thing. What's your goal right now in the next 12 to 24 months? Like soon. I want to buy a house. Okay. I already know mathematically you're going to need X amount of dollars to be able to get that down payment and be safe. Mm-hmm. So that means every extra dollar of cash flow that you do have coming in really should be going to your savings. Because if you're going to take some of those dollars and put into this contract, you're going to lock this up for some time.
Yeah.
Like, I need you to have fluid cash in your bank account.
Exactly.
So when it comes time for that mortgage, for you to go through that pre-approval process, you got the down payment, you got the reserves, you're ready to go. I go, and then guess what? You're going to buy a 2-family house? Yeah. Oh, perfect. So when the rental income comes in, and that's discretionary income that you want to reposition, maybe we can have a conversation about permanent life insurance then. Maybe you reposition your rental income into the life insurance contract to have that to build equity for you later.
Bingo. Damn, gold. So you're not only just a life insurance, you can give some financial advice because you're trained in the information.
Right.
You're working with a lot of people that have different scenarios, and you can see all the different ways you can play certain games. Mm-hmm. Not games.
Strategies.
Strategies. Thank you.
Strategies.
Sorry for that word. So right before we wrapped up and, close this out, give me 2 minutes and advice for someone who's looking to start in life insurance, and then the annual reviews.
Okay. So annual reviews. Let's start there because they're important. Understand that your life will constantly be changing. Obviously, life changes. And if you currently have a policy and you haven't spoken to your agent and your advisor in over a year, over 2 years, over 3 years, which by the way, would be very common right now, especially because of COVID.
Yeah.
Then that means that you need to talk to that person, have them come see you or do a Zoom call, whatever it is, and review that policy because things may have changed for you
in your life.
To address in your life that now warrants a change in I'll call it your insurance portfolio.
Of course.
Right? So that's the annual review part. The second one is somebody looking to get in the industry? No, more of a client or a person looking to.
Yeah, somebody who's looking to get into the life insurance world.
Into the world.
Oh, into the world. Right. Right now, it's a hot market.
Yep.
What advice you have for them? Like how to, because a lot of them come in and go out.
Sure.
So what makes you stick around for 11 years?
Yeah, I would say right off the bat, get with a platform that provides 2 forms of client acquisition, we'll call it. The one is more, I call it the traditional method, which is the one that's stuck around forever.
Networking.
Which is your networking, your natural market, your friends and family. That's always going to be there. The second part, though, is a lead-based platform. I would say that, too, because you want to be able to have as many people as you can to talk to so that this way it's something that's predictable. This business, just like any other self-employed type business, can have a very high turnover ratio with people. It's usually because they fall behind on the people they need to speak with, or they don't turn a profit quickly enough for them to stick around in the industry long enough.
Got it.
So do that, but then do your research on the company or organization you're looking to connect with. Find out how much their leads cost. Are they captive or non-captive? Those are questions you want to know. Are they in an IMO, insurance marketing organization, or they're more of a MLM type of company, a multi-level marketing company?
Yeah.
All those things. Is most of your income based on production, or do you really have to recruit to really move up in the compensation plan?
Gotcha.
Either one isn't wrong. It doesn't matter. You should know what you're getting yourself into.
So you can make the right choice.
Make the right choices. That's all it is.
So where can they reach you if they have any questions? Anybody who wants to work with you? Because I know you're looking for some people.
Absolutely. I totally am. Absolutely. People join my team, and I can help them in the process too. So they can reach me on my cell phone, 908-590-1653. And, of course, connect with me on Instagram at life_insurance_mercenary on Instagram.
That's why he's wearing the mercenary. He's a mercenary.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being here
brother.
today.
This is great, man. I love it.
You liked it?
I love it. I had a great time.
I'm glad. So thank you very much for listening. See you next Sunday at 9 a.m.